You hear great jazz on GJRB with the best of jazz, up-and-coming jazz, and smooth afternoon. If you can't get enough of jazz and you live in the Quad Cities area, tune in to KALA, St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa, at 88.5 on the FM dial. Along with some of that great smooth jazz, you'll hear a lot of great jazz programming, and programming in other great music formats, like blues, urban, including rap, also classic R&B and Motown with David Baker on Rewind, Friday nights at 6 p.m. Central. In addition, you get programming in Spanish and some great gospel programming too. For more information on that great programming you'll hear, check out their schedule at www.sau.edu/KALA. Even if you don't live in the Quad Cities area, you can enjoy KALA anywhere in the world with their internet stream. Connect with KALA, listen, and enjoy. The blues, the primary start to rock and roll music, the music in which artists express their feelings through music. This is a new blues show featuring the best of the blues, with new emerging artists getting their thrill of hearing their selections played along with the greats like Muddy Waters, B.B. King, and Etta James, along with a whole lot more. The doors open soon to the Blues House on GJRB. Recently, the owner of Facebook had to face Congress over personal information on Facebook users. In addition, users were saying that their postings were being deleted. Getting sick and tired of your censorship and your data being used without your permission? Do something about it now. Come to MeWe, the internet social site that values your freedom. No more deleted postings. Make a step to freedom. Sign up today. It's easy. Go to www.mewe.com. That's MEWE. MeWe, the internet's free speech social site. America's Street Music is back on GJRB Bluegrass with the Grassgolds, Bill Monroe and his Bluegrass Boys, and so much more. So it's time to bring it back, and on more often. It's Bluegrass Jubilee Freestyle, with all the great songs you heard before, and some new up-and-coming stars with some emerging bluegrass. Also, some all-time gospel favorites too. On GJRB. Whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, even bowling, it's covered on Gary J's sports page. I'll talk about what's going on in the world of sports all over the USA. We'll read you interesting articles about the players and even keep up with the scores of the games going on live. I'll even have guests from time to time and just talk sports. Better than any newspaper page, it comes alive. Gary J's Sports Page. Join me for Sports Page at a brand new time, alternating Saturdays at noon on GJRB. GJRB. Okay, we're back on the air here on GJRB Online. Welcome back to the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra, as we start part 2 of our program, heading into our 45 minutes of non-stop talk and music today here on GJRB Online. And excuse me for that, but my stomach seems to like to do that. We got a great show lined up for you. This is our second part, and that means that we're cranking up 45 minutes of nonstop talk throughout the afternoon today here on GJRB Online. So you're welcome to be on the air and talk with me. And it's just basically going to be that. No more promo breaks now until about 4:33. Yeah, that's it. No breaks until 4:33. I'm just going to keep right on going, and I might even continue it, not even take that next break. Hey, it just, things happen, you know. But let's just see what happens. We're going to do it. Let's just see what crawls, what happens, what rolls. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, why don't we just see what happens? We're just gonna let this see where it takes us. Here on GJRB Online, Gary Russen program, right here on Spreaker. Here on GJRB Online, the Saturday Extra, as we call this. It's just what it is. An extra show of the week where I kind of talk a lot about what happened in the week's news, especially if you are if you missed a lot of news this week. The biggest news going on right now is, I think, President Trump being in trouble. But there's a lot of interesting things going on regarding that whole story. I'm going to turn this up. I always have to get into the habit. Whenever I do my local break, it blasts in my ear, and I have to turn it down on the board so that when I come back from my break, what happens? Oh, I'm overboard. I'm not loud enough. So I have to fix that issue, but I'm working on it. Let's see. We're posting that we are now in part 2. Featuring 45 minutes of nonstop talk and music this hour. And I usually would kind of maybe put that into that. I'm trying to do that on all my shows, at least until I get my 3-hour plan. I'm working on making sure that every time I load up, I have a message that's pre-typed. So all I have to do is just go like that, paste, put it in the where all my groups are, like Meet the Spreakers, Spreaker Tavern, and GJRB Online, so that, and then I also post it, I usually kind of pull up a document, and we'll post that on the document in a separate place, so that I can post it on the same message on MeWe, and try to get this program and the last part available so that people who are listening over on, if there's anybody listening at all on Pinterest, will be able to do that. And I do that so that we get some listeners. And so as soon as I get back on the air, and I try to get it, sometimes I still forget to write it in the program log. I've been still doing that. I'm forgetting to write in the program log to post when I get back out of my break. But I need to look at my settings and see maybe there's something I'm missing, and maybe Facebook settings, because they could have screwed with that, and that's why a lot of my postings aren't coming up. So I'm going to do some adjustments here somewhere sometime this week, because I'm not sure exactly why, but every so often I don't I post or something. Anyway, let's see. We missed the weather on the 5, so we'll do that at 5 minutes after 4. Okay, we're going to do 5 minutes after 4 weather on the 5s, and or we'll just postpone it until 4:15 if we don't get a call before then. Okay, so we're going to do that. We'll postpone it until 4:15 unless we get a call before then. And usually sometimes I do. I'll get a call early. And let's just see if that happens. I'm not guaranteeing anything at this point. So I'm just kind of loading here. And see if there's anybody out there listening to the show. I posting on all places. I'm available also, by the way, I'm on Spotify and Google Podcast. So if you want to catch me in those places, I'm also there. It'll be the Gary Russen program Saturday Extra with today's date 8/28/19, and that's where you'll see that. And right now I'm posting it on MeWe, so that's on MeWe now. Right now, that is the free speech social site that we advertise here, and it's a great place where you can get free speech. They won't bother your postings on MeWe, which is kind of nice. I like that idea. So we already posted on all those areas, and let's see what if that will blow up my chat room here. Also available on Twitter, and we're going to go visit that here next as we continue the scroll through social media here on GJRB Online. I'm going to click out of MeWe, and we'll go visit them later. and I'm going to pop in and get ready for weather on the 5s at the top of the at 5 after the hour. And speaking of weather on the 5s, I'm going to activate my okay, I've got to go in there and pull up side because I was on ESPN2 because I was watching Iowa game. So I had to go and put it over to the side thing here. Well, I should turn that down. I'm not using that right now. That was the sound of my Roku box. Anyway, I'm getting ready to do the weather on the 5s coming up. So we're going to postpone weather on the 5s till around quarter after or so, in around there, and give you the weather forecast there. Let's see here. I'm going to... there we go. And then this one. Okay, there's a winter storm out for Montana. Here it is. Winter storm warning for Glacier, Lewis, and Clark. I like that. Liberty, Pondera, Teton, Tull, Blaine, and there's a lot of other ones I can't pronounce. There's some of the counties that are under a winter storm watch up in Montana. Winter storm warnings, not a watch, a warning. Winter storm warning in Montana. And we're going to be seeing what's going on with that when we join our friends at the Weather Nation in this next segment here on GHRB Online. It's 4 o'clock Central Daylight Time right now. Don't have the tone ready, but we'll get that coming up here. 4 o'clock Central Daylight Time, 5 o'clock Eastern. It is 3 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Pacific. Yeah, that's right, 2 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock in Alaska. And you're listening to the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra on GJRB Online. And glad you could be with me on a Saturday afternoon. It's kind of a slow day today. We're just kind of having fun here, just talking on the radio and getting ready to do our what am I saying here? I think we could do weather at 5 after. I think we can. As soon as this goes into temperatures, well, there we go. We're going to look at the radar and stuff like that coming up in a couple of minutes. Coming up in this hour, though, we're going to see maybe perhaps we get a hold of some people. So I'm going to try to see if what happened to Ed, because I know he called me in the first hour. I'm pretty sure because I saw a missed call notification on the bottom of my screen on the computer here, and didn't hear the call come in. And of course, I had just clicked into my Skype, and it was where I'm going, wait a minute, then I tried to call him back, and he didn't, and he wasn't there. So what was up with that? So I'm going to try it again this hour to see what's going on there. I just don't know what happened. Sometimes that just does it. We're going to take a look at the radar, national radar. We're looking at some of the interesting weather we've been having. And we're watching that winter storm warning for people up in Montana. Already, I think the whole state is under an alert because every single county I can't even pronounce is on there. So it's like, wow. I don't know. We're going to see how long that lasts. So people are already getting hit up there. And we'll take a look at that Montana forecast coming up here in just a little bit. We'll do our weather on the 5s. We're going to see if Weather Nation does something on this Montana, because this is interesting what's going on up there. So we're going to take a look at that weather on the 5s here in just a couple of minutes. Also, some more great music coming up this hour, some new emerging artists. I have some of the new songs that we've been playing, and I'll be moving some of the songs around, and got some country songs. I got some new ones, and the latest from Keith Brooks play that one, and let you know what's coming up in music here on GJRB Online and some of our program schedules. I've been sitting down working on that one yet, tweaking it. Remember, it's the schedule puzzle. You never know what's going to be put in place there, and we're working around a lot of things. And the reason for that is because I got a friend of mine that is going to help me out with a lot of things. So some things could get changed again. And I'm just going to leave it open for that and working around his schedule and what he's going to be doing and what I'm going to be doing and how things are going to be changing here on GJRB Online. Aside from some of the programs I'm doing, so some programs might even just go away for good that aren't really making it on the schedule because I don't have time to work on them. At least probably go away for a while. But I'm going to try to keep Radioland going, and Radioland Time Warp, Crooners, all those programs will still stay on the air, but some programs will probably go away if things start to change, and I'll explain that later. Right now, though, let's take a look at our weather on the 5s. And take a look at the radar and the national radar. Right now, taking a look at some of the radar, and there's a lot of precipitation, especially heavy one just north of Salt Lake City. I'm looking at another line of precipitation and a lot of rain around Minnesota and Minneapolis and Iowa, here in Iowa. We'll take a look at that right now. There's a lot of that precipitation. Look at Omaha, Nebraska. I can't look at it. Actually, this is radio. Omaha, Nebraska. They got some storms going into Des Moines. You see it right there on the Kansas-Iowa border there. Let's take a look at some of the current temperatures right now over the United States. 54 degrees in Bismarck. Billings, Montana, checking in at 42 degrees, 74 degrees in Denver, Colorado, 73 in Wichita, Kansas, heading down southeast. Orlando, Florida is checking in at 91 degrees, 89 degrees in Miami, 92 degrees in New Orleans, Louisiana, 90 degrees in Houston, Texas right now. Current temperatures, 37 degrees. It's kind of cold up there in Spokane. 50 degrees in Boise, Idaho. And there's your current dew points in some of those areas. 41 in Billings, 48 Salt Lake City, and 33 in Spokane, Washington. 50 for Sacramento under dew points. Here is the top story from Weather Nation.
Put it best earlier. We've all been there, driving through winter weather, and all you have as a safety blanket is the tire tracks in front of you.
I mean, you know, especially at night, too, that comes in handy when you can see the trail ahead of you, because that could be some tough stuff when you're driving in the wintry weather.
That's the thing about this current snow, is it's going to be a very heavy, wet snow. That's one of the good news, bad news kind of situations.
That's right.
Good news is it's not really accumulating too much on the roads. It's melting in many locations. The bad news is it's got a lot of moisture to supply it, and it's going to keep on snowing for at least another 36 hours.
And that's a concern, considering we still have a lot of the leaves left on the trees. Those branches are going to get weighed down, so there could be some power outages, but in the meantime, not bad. It's kind of beautiful looking out there in Montana.
And the ski resorts rejoice.
Oh, yes.
This is probably exactly what they were hoping for to kind of kickstart their season. But the tricky part is, how long will this last? Just because we have one big early snowstorm doesn't mean it's going to be a snowy winter.
That's right. I mean, this is maybe just a taste of winter, not necessarily.
A bitter taste, maybe.
Exactly. Lots of wintry weather to go around, and the totals continue to add up. As you can see here, a new report from Glacier National Park on the east side of the park there, 17 inches of snow. That's through 3 o'clock local time. We had about 15 inches in Kiowa, Montana, Chateau. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. 10.5 inches there in Brady, Montana, picking up 8 inches as well. We take you out to Cut Bank. This is the scene right now. This is one of our live webcams. A little bit murky there because of all the moisture out there and, of course, the snow and the cold. It's 27 degrees with a northeast wind at 22 miles per hour. We'll find that wind chill value coming up, but we could see wind chill values in the single digits as we go into tonight because of that howling wind and the cold air. Here's a look at the radar. Cold rain out towards Glasgow and Billings with temperatures in the 40s, but off towards the west along I-15, Helena 33, the wintry mix. Great Falls, it's coming on down with snow at 27 as of last check. Even Havre picking up some of that wintry weather as well. And it's not just Montana, mind you. Back into Washington State, we've been getting blasted with snow. Likewise, into portions of Idaho. Looks like Missoula is now under a winter storm watch in the valley, and all the way back towards Oregon. We find winter weather advisories along the spine of the Cascades. As we look at road conditions, you don't need me to tell you, it's kind of messy out there, a little sloppy into north central Montana with that snow. But as Chris had mentioned earlier, a lot of it is beginning to melt on the roadways, but as we go after dark, we could start to see a little accumulation as the sun isn't there to help us anymore. Looking at that forecast accumulation with snow, yikes, lots of bright purples on the map. Even some of these oranges indicates a foot to 2 feet, maybe even more across the region here. Look at some of the pass levels here. Marias Pass, 3 to 4 feet of storm total snowfall here. Rogers Pass, almost upwards of 3 feet there. Cut Bank, yeah, well, that's just a lot of snow to talk about. I don't even want to talk about this. Look at these totals. Incredibly heavy snowfall to contend with here in September. And this will continue through Sunday night. There will be that risk for some power outages, and of course the blizzard conditions because of those strong winds will lead to some impacts. And of course, like I said, it's not just Montana, even some Sierra Nevada areas getting in on some winter weather advisories there for the higher terrain. Quickly, I want to look at this forecast. You'll notice the snow continues, cold rain at that other areas, and we'll likely see that persist through Sunday, just continuing in the same northern Rockies locations all through the weekend. I want to take you a bit further south now into Provo, Utah. Skies are stormy in Carissa. We could see some active weather through the evening.
And it is not far away from where the snow is taking place. In fact, to Salt Lake City and Provo, you're going to be talking about highs in the 50s by early next week. But right now, it's the clash of that cold air coming into some warmth, moisture, and energy with that trough of low pressure through northern parts of Utah and into the heart of Wyoming. We've been watching kind of this channel, if you will, from Salt Lake City all the way up towards Casper, through Riverton and Lander, of some stronger thunderstorms, even a few strong to severe at times. We're going to continue to see an area of lift, an area of low pressure just tracking right through here to give us what we need to see some of those stronger systems popping up. You can see a very powerful batch of storms headed towards the I-25 corridor, but into Salt Lake City, Ogden, and Logan, it's been a steady stream of rain and a very cool rain at that. We'll continue to watch this system in the northwest, but I also want to give you an idea of what's happening across the country. We've seen a lot of strong storms building into the Appalachians, the Blue Ridge Mountains especially, up into Virginia. Still a few more of those strong storms happening in and around Washington, D.C. In fact, we've watched as this severe thunderstorm warning around Culpeper has been popping up for the last hour or so, and until quarter past, you could still see some large hail and some gusty winds to go with some heavy downpours as it pushes its way towards the I-95 corridor. Here, we've got enough energy and instability from all of the heat, just that daytime elevated heating source just popping those storms right up. Into the northeast, we're watching a cold front that's building through, and that could allow for some strong storms into Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and into New Jersey as well. But when you go into the heart of the country, perhaps the more intense severe weather threat is expected here from southeastern parts of Nebraska into eastern Kansas, right along the I-29 and 49 corridors into Missouri as well. In fact, Kansas City, things in the last hour have really started rocking and rolling from the southwest up to the northeast. And the Storm Prediction Center is still saying there could be a possible watch in this region. It's not surprising given the fact that that's where we have a slight risk of severe weather. But that marginal risk stretches all the way into western parts of Texas and right along the New Mexico border, with a marginal risk for mainly damaging wind gusts and isolated occurrences of large hail. But from Wichita to Kansas City, some large hailstones and isolated spin-ups are definitely a possibility. Very heavy downpours, tons and tons of lightning already showing up with these storms. And as we continue that deep push of Gulf moisture, we're going to see those storms through Kansas City, north toward Des Moines, Moines and the Quad Cities, and another round building from the Panhandle working its way through Oklahoma overnight. This could also bring us some heavy rain on saturated soil, and that could give us a chance at some localized flash flooding through the rest of the day today and through tonight. But we'll talk more about that in your central regional forecast at 30 past. But up next, the heat hangs on in your eastern regional forecast.
And there you go. There's our weather on the fives, and takes a look at some of the storms headed up our way. We'll be watching those here in Clinton, and we'll do our Clinton weather forecast coming up in the last hour of the Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. Weather on the fives, 25 and 45 minutes past the hour on all music shows, 25 and 55 talk shows, or any time in the hour that ends in 5. Proving that we just did it about 4:05. So we did it at 5 minutes past 4 o'clock. So we're going to skip weather on the fives for the next break. We'll till we get till about maybe about 25 after. Then we'll do some weather in some of those areas that are crucial at this point, where some of the weather is going to be. We'll take a look at Utah and a few other places where some of the weather is being affected, and we'll take a look at those as well. So that's coming up next here in about 10 minutes or so. Weather on the fives right here on GJRB Online. Gary J in the morning is going to be on this week. I have plans on doing that on Tuesday and possibly Thursday, but Thursday's up in the air yet because I got some production I want to work on. I'm working on my way out there. Radio, television, movie classics. Doing some research on my spotlight artists for the next crooners. So I don't know if we're going to do a show on Thursday either. Might or might not. Looking at a possibility of doing it if we can get, because Wednesday, for sure Wednesday. Wednesday, no radio Wednesday. Wednesday, I want to work the full day on my production on some of my programs, so I will not be on the air Wednesday, no show Wednesday, but we'll be on Tuesday with the Gary J in the Morning Show at 10 a.m. right here on Spreaker on GJRB Online. And then, of course, on Friday, Friday next week, it'll be a wave of smooth jazz and smooth afternoon on there. And then next Saturday, depending on things go, I'm hoping that we'll get a hold of Ben about midweek, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, and confirm whether or not he can be on, so that I know what's happening as far as that's concerned, and maybe he can make arrangements with his work to work on Sunday. He did that once before where he got to be on with us. So let's just see what happens as the week goes on. All right, so listen to the Gary Russen program Saturday Extra on GJRB Online on an overcast day here in Clinton, Iowa. And we're playing music, talking, and it's just 45 minutes of nonstop talking music. We're kind of a little less than 10 minutes away from the end here. So we're just going to be running the break and coming back. And I think after that break, going around 4:37, we'll do another 45. Okay, so we'll do another 45 around that time to wrap up that show and clear out for the day. So we'll get that in there, and you could be part of the program. All you have to do is get into my Spreaker public site and join in on it. We'll do our shout outs for all my Spreaker followers too coming up. So stay tuned for that. I would like that feature. That's where I shout out to all the Spreaker followers. And, that is my laundry bell. So that went off. Okay. So I'm going to have to let that go until we go into the next break. But we got some more stuff coming up here as we continue the Gary Russen program Saturday Extra here on GJRB Online. You want to welcome into the program? If you want to get on that, we got one listener so far on our live part here as we're doing 45 minutes of nonstop talking music. We're wrapping up this segment, and then we'll take another break, and then we'll do another 45, maybe even 50 of nonstop talk and music next hour, and see if we can get some people in here. And as soon as we get to that free plan, or that plan we're talking about, the 3-hour one, the broadcaster, I'm going to be cutting my spot breaks a little shorter. on that, so that we can be on more often. And like I said before, I think that's why I like this 45-minute plan. But when 45 minutes does go by very quickly, and really don't get much time to really get any action done. And every time I flip over to the next part, I lose listeners, and it can be a bummer when we have that stuff there. So we'll be taking a break here in about 14 minutes, a little less than that. We'll be taking our program break, and we're going to do our half-hour thing. So we got to do that early, so that way we could do our 45 minutes coming up next. The Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra on GHRB Online here on Spreaker across America, and also available on Spotify, Google Podcast, so that you can catch those shows anytime. And also going to put that on Pinterest as well, so that people on Pinterest can check it out. So I'm going to go back into my Pinterest, my main page, and then into this show's main page in the chat room, so that Pinterest followers can go right in there and get into the chat room. So I got that now in the GJRB online page on Pinterest, so you can catch it there, and I'll do the other parts. But once you get in that, when you're in Pinterest, when you hit that icon there, it takes you right into my Spreaker public site where you have the chat room, and you can come in and say hi there and talk to me there. So you can get into the chat room via Pinterest, and then that will take you. You're right on my page, right there on my page. And that's www.spreaker.com/user/5120-525, and also available on Twitter as well. I'm the Radio Maniac there, and you can check out the show. So, right there. All right, we're going to end in the chat room, and if you don't want to be on the radio with me, otherwise you could call me, and that is in the Skype. Let me try to get that Skype back up. For some reason, let me see. I must have accidentally clicked out of it. Okay, I want to make sure I keep that Skype up. I am available there live. It's in green. I got 2 notifications. Split View lets you open conversations in their own separate windows for more productive experience. Then verify your phone number. I don't want to verify my phone number. I don't. Because what happens is I get these stupid calls. And, yeah. Anyway, he is under green. Or rather, what do they call that? Yellow. I'll have to check and see what yellow is. Let me go back to that page. I am on Skype, and you can catch my show. And let me see if that's... Yeah, yellow's away, so he's away. I'm active, and so that means you can get a hold of me on Skype, and I'm going to pin that to my taskbar. And you can contact me there, Gary.Russen, or just get in on my, if you're a Facebook friend, if you're a Facebook follower, you can just go through Facebook in my Messenger and hit that call button. That's simple. We're doing a scroll through social media as well. Taking a look at some of the areas, some of the stories we're covering for you. It's kind of a slow day today. So we're just kind of having a little bit of fun here. Let me see what we have here. Oh, yeah. September 16th, the week of September 16th, 1968, the number 1 song was Hey Jude by the Beatles. Let's see what we have here. Do I have any of these songs on my list? Revolution was that was a flip. That actually was a double-sided hit. I had Hey Jude by the Beatles on a 45. That was a double-sided hit with Revolution. I have Indian Reservation by Paul Revere and the Raiders. That's on here. Say a Little Prayer, Aretha Franklin. Also was redone by Dionne Warwick. Let's see what other one. We have Harper Valley PTA. That was at number 11 by Jeannie C. Riley. So I could probably do that in the next segment. So coming up, we'll play Jeannie C. Riley, the number 11 song this week in 1968. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Gary Russen program on GJRB Online. Hope you're enjoying the program wherever you're listening across America. A Gary Russen program, Saturday Extra. We had one lone listener in this last this segment, so we've got some people out there listening at this time, and I hope that we get some more. Overcast day today here in Clinton, Iowa. We'll take a look at that weather forecast for Clinton next hour. We also have our other favorite features, including our shout-outs to Spreaker listeners. We all that coming up. We're just kind of going through here and finding interesting facts to talk about to make this show just a little bit more interesting, because it's kind of getting slow and dull right now. Let me see here. We got 11. Okay, that's number 11. So we'll have the number 11 song this week in 1968 coming up. So let me see here. Okay. Let's see. I keep passing that up. Remember a time when Saturday night television featured All in the Family, MASH, Mary Tyler Moore, Bob Newhart, and the Carol Burnett Show? Yeah, that was back in the 70s, I believe, early to mid 70s. I think long about 1973, 74. Yeah, I remember that. Saturday nights were pretty good on those days. 1973, 1974. I'm working on another episode of Radio, Television, and Movie Classics. I haven't picked any of my my first part yet, but I have to go through my list here. I know we're doing Retro Prime Time, and I guess I'll have to go into my rundown for that show to find out exactly what I'm doing there. But that's coming up, Radio, Television, and Movie Classics. I also have a new Crooners coming up with music from... featuring the music of now what did I say it was? I'm writing it down. Wayne Newton. We're going to feature Wayne Newton as our spotlight crooner on our next Crooners. Wayne Newton. So we'll play Wayne Newton's song coming up too. I always like to play some of this stuff. It's pretty cool. All right, 26 minutes after the hour of 4 o'clock Central Daylight Time, 5 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Pacific. You're listening to the Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online. Let's take a look at our weather on the fives. We're slightly late, but who cares, right? Take a look at our weather on the fives. Take a look at what we got here. Los Angeles, California, checking in 70 degrees under cloudy skies. Cedar Rapids, Iowa is at 65 and cloudy. Des Moines, Iowa, right now, 71 degrees and mostly cloudy. Salem, Massachusetts, 79 degrees and sunny. And we head toward Houston, Texas. You guys are at 91 degrees, home of the OBFSU, our big fat soft underbelly. 93 degrees in mostly cloudy in Tampa. And Port St. Lucie is at 88 degrees. We'll take a look at some of those crucial areas we're going to visit. We're going to take a look at Montana and those areas up around there, including Billings. So some of those areas, we'll take a look at those. Let's see. I'm going to go to Billings, Montana real quick here. And take a look at your weather for Billings, Montana. And look at the temperature. According to the Juniper Sulphur Station there, it is now 45 degrees. It's like 41. Your winds out of the northeast at 7 miles per hour, gusting to 11. And your radar indications up there, some scattered precipitation, not too bad. The forecast will be a little bit warmer than today. Tomorrow's forecast will be a little bit warmer than today. But look at this. I'm looking at their weather right now. In their forecast, Right now, relative humidity is at 97%, dew point 44, barometric pressure 29.7 inches of mercury. So, yeah, they're pretty much on the cusp of that weather system. So we're gonna keep an eye on it, and we'll do weather on the fives again around 4:55, and give you a rundown of that weather forecast. All coming your way right here on GJRB Online here on Spreaker. I'm Gary J. Russen. This is the Gary Russen Program Saturday Extra. We're going to take a break and be right back with more. And coming up in the next half hour, 50 minutes of nonstop talk and music and stuff like that. So stay with me. We'll be right back. This is the GJRB Online Network.